The first model we're going to look into is dropshipping. Now, dropshipping is invisible to the consumer, so many people aren't familiar with this model. A dropshipper is someone who doesn't actually hold any inventory. They have an online store and they accept orders, but they don't do any fulfillment, which is shipping the products to the customers. Instead, they receive an order and then pass along that information to another company who sends the product directly to the customer. So as a customer, I might buy an umbrella from you for $10. Your store automatically orders that same umbrella from your supplier and sends it to me for $8. You as the dropshipper get to pocket the difference. Oftentimes, you'll see dropshippers for manufacturers who don't want to do any marketing. They just want to make goods, and they'll use dropshippers, resellers, or others to move their product. There are four main benefits of dropshipping. The first advantage is a low barrier to entry. You don't need any starting capital. You could start an online store for $30, accept orders, pass along that information to your supplier, who will fulfill those orders. You very likely won't need any outside capital like a loan from the bank to get started. If you're averse to debt, this model is great. And unlike other models, which we'll get to later, you don't have order minimums. Some other models require you to buy a few dozen or 100 or all the way up to 10,000 units at a time. But for dropshipping, you order products as needed. The second advantage is that there's no fulfillment. You'd be surprised how much work it is to organize hundreds or thousands of boxes. Even if you have a giant garage, it's a lot of work to find the right products, pack them up, and send them out. And you also don't have to worry about managing inventory. An inventory count can take days, and with this model, you never have to do that. Next, because you don't manage any physical products, that means you can run your business from anywhere in the world. That is huge. I'm a big fan of being able to work from anywhere, and dropshipping makes that easy. And one of the best parts of dropshipping is that it's scalable. If you get twice as many orders as normal, you don't have to hire extra workers, you just make more money. Eventually, you'll need to hire more customer support representatives, but you're not as impacted by scale as other business models. Dropshipping has a lot going for it, and lots of business owners love this model. But nothing is perfect. Let's dig into a few of the challenges. You may have noticed that low barrier to entry is both an advantage and a disadvantage. There's a reason for this. It's great for you to get your foot in the door, but it's not so great when everyone else can also get in the door. If a dropshipper, or even worse, a community of dropshippers, discovers your profitable niche, they can copy what you did and start selling the exact same product. This will drive your sales and margins down. As an example, if you discover a company selling a product, you could dropship for them and take a cut of each sale. If a bunch of other dropshippers find similar products, or even the exact same product, now you're competing for the same customers and your margins are going to go down. Speaking of margins for dropshipping are smaller than other e-commerce business models. This will of course change from supplier to supplier and industry to industry, but you'll probably see around 20% margins. So if you sell $100 worth of product, you get to keep $20. And that $20 needs to cover all of your business expenses, like customer support, website maintenance, marketing, pay-per-click, and complicated shipping, which is another disadvantage. You might be lucky enough to work with one supplier, in which case this won't affect you too much. But it's likely that you're going to work with a few different suppliers to offer all of the products that your customers want. The downside is you'll have to handle complicated shipping logistics. If you have an order with 4 items, and each one comes from a different supplier, that's going to cost 4 times as much as an order from one supplier. Keep in mind, your customers don't know that you're shipping from 4 different suppliers. You then have to decide if you want to pass that cost on to your customer, or if you want to subsidize that cost. High shipping prices is one of the biggest reasons customers leave the checkout. So many dropshippers decide to cover some or all of the cost of shipping, which can very quickly turn slim margins into nothing. To mitigate this, you'll want to spend time finding a supplier that can supply as much of your inventory as possible. And if you're really lucky, work with just one supplier, so you don't have to worry about hiding these complex shipping costs. The final disadvantage. Not having to ship products saves you a lot of time, but when the people shipping your product do something wrong, you could get blamed for it, which is a bummer. As a dropshipper, you have to accept that many things are out of your control. With a good supplier, you can expect 1 to 2% of orders to have mistakes and for you to offer a refund or replacement. With a bad supplier, it could be higher than 2%, and you'll have to live with a bad reputation, so pick your supplier carefully. As you can see, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages for dropshippers. If you find just the right niche, you can run a highly automated business that makes money for you. But you can also get into a niche and then other people follow and copy you, which will drastically affect how much money you can make.